Put that down. You're harassing me.
No.
I'm going to ask for a restraining order.
Okay.
Stop following me. You're stalking me.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
stalking me.
This is Susan Bassey, and you're watching video of attorney Bill Dresser, who has appeared in multiple cases connected to our ongoing investigations into private judging. Mr. Dresser's involvement in these matters dates back nearly 20 years, including a time when he represented the former wife of a Santa Clara County prosecutor in a divorce case that was handled not by one, but two private judges, Nat Hales and James Cox. And the former prosecutor, who had actually been convicted of crimes related to antique burglary, ended up prevailing in that case after he hired divorce attorney Bradford Baugh and got more than his share of the community property and custody of the couple's children. It's worth noting that Mr. Dresser reportedly used a private judge in his own divorce, and court files show that over the years he's filed lawsuits against several former clients, placing liens on their homes and even suing his own landlord. In one instance, Mr. Dresser also attempted to sue me under the name Diane Bassey in connection with my reporting on private judging and the nonprofit Women SV. Our coverage continues to explore how attorneys, judges, and court-affiliated professionals have used private judging in Santa Clara County and how that's connected to local government.
So we looked up the address for Bill Dresser, and there was nothing that came up for that one.
Okay.
For Jeffrey Blum, there's no address actually listed on the Form 700. So we had Googled it, and the address we Googled didn't come up with anything. So I don't know if you have a different address.
It is right here on your 700 form. I don't know why you couldn't find it. It was on.
Los Gatos,
Nope,
California.
I saw it on one of them. It said this. It said the Cuesta. It's on there somewhere.
Okay, that was the address that he looked up when he Googled it. So there was no business.
See, it's right here on his 700 form.
After waiting months and hours to get access to these records, we finally confirmed a number of irregularities in Mr. Blum's financial disclosures as he is appointed as a commissioner to a local political body handling issues related to the town's seniors and mental health issues. We also obtained confirmation that neither Mr. Blum nor Mr. Dresser have a business license, meaning they're conducting business as attorneys and private judges, but they're not bothering to pay the taxes like everybody else in the town has to. And so because of that, we turned our request for records access into a request for production of public records.
That's the address, and that's what he posts at the courthouse as his location as the courthouse when he's being a private judge.
Okay, there was no business license under that address.
So I just want to be really clear. Who is your supervisor?
That would be the town manager.
Okay.
Conceals.
Okay. So the town manager has signed a lot of these agreements and been involved in this and is well aware of the history of what I am investigating. So I would like you to express to the town manager that the town is appointing Mr. Blum as a code enforcement officer when he is not complying with the basic business licensing laws in the town, and he also is not complying with other laws related to private judging notice and postings at the court. So we have selected an attorney who isn't following the law to run code enforcement and to be appointed to political bodies. I'm going to report on that, and I'm going to talk about it because it is the beginning of unwinding what appears to be some serious public corruption related to family law cases in this town. And that has affected a lot of people involved in domestic violence cases. And I am currently investigating that in a current case where the parents both live in the manor. And isn't it true that the manor is under the Los Gatos Police's jurisdiction?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar.
Okay, so they told me that when I went there before. There's a map of how the sheriff and the Los Gatos police respond to calls in this area. Some have jurisdiction and some do not, and the manor is a chopping block. But I believe that we have some issues with current family law, private judging, and DV cases, and it is related to JAMS. And our former vice mayor, Barbara Spector, also works at JAMS and is with the law firm Hoag Fenton, was with them before she became a JAMS judge and while she was our mayor. And Judge Towery was also from Hoag Fenton, and he's the one that wanted to do a ride-along with the Los Gatos police while our town manager, our town attorney, and our police chief were attending the Bar Bench Media Police Committee with him. And you guys have all told me there were no records responsive to that request, and other towns have produced them. So I know they exist, and we have a problem with those public records. So when you guys are searching, make sure you understand what I'm looking for, because other towns have produced them far better than Los Gatos has. And this is a real problem. And this is a problem given the communications that Mr. Blum had with me, that he was talking about Ms. Hogan's other litigation, and that he was trying to mediate a settlement to get the town out of a lawsuit that we were paying for as taxpayers. And Mr. Blum also told me not to contact him again when I pointed these problems out. So when we have someone appointed to political bodies that isn't following the law, that is an attorney, that is also doing code enforcement hearings, that's a real problem for me. And the town needs to be aware that I'm going to be reporting on this, and it's not going to be quiet reporting either. So I'm going to keep going, because when I got that email that Judge Towery wanted to do ride-alongs with the police department, whose police officers appear as witnesses before him in domestic violence cases in family court, that's a huge issue. And we can't just say, oh, well, bump in the road and everyone's gone now. They're not gone, and the police chief is going to be responsible, because I have a current court document that the Los Gatos police are talking about Bill Dresser. How are they doing that if he doesn't even have a license? That's a problem. So you probably both got my last records request with a clip of that. I didn't give you the case number. I didn't give you anything else, but I gave you what was filed in the court about what a police detective is telling his brother about Bill Dresser. That bothers me. What do they know about Bill Dresser that I'm not getting in public records? So when I'm asking for records, I have a reason that I'm asking. And there are enough problems right now with the old regime of our police department, and I want to know if it's ongoing or if we're going to clean it up.
Okay, and we're happy to assist you any way we can. If there's an issue with the way we're searching the terms, we're happy to provide you with the terms we're using to do the search. And if there's any search terms that you think would be more valuable to help us assist in the search and get you the records quickly, then we're happy to work with you on that as well.
I'll send you the 2,000 records that Sunnyvale just produced from just the police department alone on a partial of my request. You guys aren't coming close to that. And the biggest concern is I have records produced from the court about that Bar Bench Media Police Committee, where our police chiefs consecutively, along with Robert Schultz, were attending those meetings with Judge Towery, and they were not noticed to the public, and they were using public money from the grand jury and the jury services budget. And right now, the DV cases that I'm looking at have Lori Pegg signing emergency protective orders, and she was one of the other judges involved. So this is all wrapped up into how fair people are having their domestic violence and family court cases being litigated. And when you move to Los Gatos, you should have an expectation that it's litigated fairly, not that you have private judges like Jeff Blum rigging things up and not even paying his licensing fees. And we appointed him to a political body about seniors and mental health. I mean, we ought to think about that, because I'm going to be talking about that. So I'm not coming to the meeting tonight in case you guys have to work it. You'll get a free pass, but please ramp this up to the city manager, because now I'm going to start speaking to them. You guys are the ones that have to do this work and deal with me when these policies are going in place. I know you're not comfortable being on my YouTube channel or having me record you, but I'm going to keep doing it. And you can ask your supervisors why you're being thrown in the line of fire because of their policies. And that's what we need to address. I know these are your jobs, but it doesn't mean that you break the law when you're doing your job, and even if someone tells you to. And access to public records is one of the first laws you need to be able to comply with. Do you see why that was important for me to get that? I've been asking for this for months, and look what's in it. He doesn't have a business license, and he discloses on his 700 form that he's a private judge. And he's buddies with the judge that was doing ride-along with the police. The same police department that called my public records request disruptive. That's wrong. The public has a right to walk in here during normal business hours and get access to records. And if I can't do it as a trained journalist, we have a problem in the town. So make sure you communicate that that's what's going on, because I'm going to keep going on this, whether it's public comment or whether it's my reporting or whatever it is. What we have done with Jeff Blum is horrific. And I have those emails and I know what he told me. And the town should be very concerned about him. There should be an investigation.
Okay, he is one of our commissioners. We do have a code of conduct. So if you'd like to complain about that, we'd be happy to.
Is the
accept
code of
that.
conduct on the website?
Yes, it is on
Okay.
our website. So if you go to our website and look under government, you should be able to look under policies. And we have a specific code of conduct, one for council and one for commissioners.
I will be reporting on it, and I will attach my reporting to a complaint as a resident.
Okay.
Okay? And you guys, I'm not the bad guy. I'm just doing my job.
And we're trying to do our job.
I know you're doing your
Get
job.
Records as quickly as we can. We're managing several public records requests, and they entail lots of emails. And unfortunately, it's just very time consuming to go through each email. And we're doing our best to provide you the records that we can. And like I said, if there's anything we can do to expedite it, if you want to look at the search terms, if there's anything you can do to help.
I have asked for the records related to Jeff Blum being a priority. I have not gotten that in the month since I asked that to be a priority. So I would like everything else to wait, because it's taking an incredibly long time, and I would like the records on Jeff Blum. If there are thousands of emails with him, I want them. That should be a priority. I want to know who he was talking to, what he was talking about while he wasn't paying his licensing to do business as a private judge in this town. And I have a right to know that, and so does the public.
Okay, so do you want us to prioritize that specific request over your other requests that you've?
I've said that a million times in emails and everything else. I also, when you want clarification, I want an email. I don't want it to go through your record system. I want you to email me. We need clarification on this. I found one on a clarification for Delgado, Officer Delgado, way buried. And I can't do that. I have a research team that handles my records requests. So if you're not emailing me clarification, you might not get it, because they don't do that.
Okay, so what we can do is we can do it in both. So we'll do it in the system so that we have a log of that. And then we'll also email you separately through a different email.
Okay.
That way we can, because we want to keep it tracked in the system so that have all the communications related to that request within the system.
The town probably needs to analyze and investigate how it is handling public records and what the cost is based on how you're doing it, because you haven't had any real reporters in this town for a long time. And I know that, and I see the requests. I see Dan Pilcrano's little self-proclaimed hero chasing people down the street and putting it on his Instagram. And that's not something that the town should be concerned about. The town should be concerned about, by the way, Dan Pilcrano was also in the Bar Bench Media Police Committee, but the town should be concerned about people like Jeff Blum, who is a licensed attorney, not following the law. So you want people to trust attorneys, and you want people to trust government, and you want people to trust the courts. Let's start with what Mr. Blum is doing wrong as a private judge in Los Gatos. And we're going to start looking at private judging, and Los Gatos is ground zero because of your vice mayor's relationship to Jams and Hope Fenton. So, that's just something we're going to have to deal with. And the next request, I'm going to do this right now verbally because you guys can put it in. So I've asked for the records related to the contractor on the public records request. I also want all records related to business the town has sent for administrative hearings or legal proceedings or mediation or anything to Jams.
And to clarify, you want records related to the public records system or the HDL system for the business licenses?
I want on the business licenses all records related to the contractor, related to how people are supposed to pay the licenses, related to how much revenue we get from business licenses, how much we pay and cost to collect that revenue. I want all records related to that contractor. I want to know what that contractor is costing us versus the revenue that we get. and I want to know how well they're doing their job. Are they audited? Is anyone checking? Did they pick up that Mr. Blum didn't have a license? Probably not.
We just recently contracted with them to do an audit on business licenses. So that will be implemented. So they will be looking at all of the businesses in the town and ensuring that they do have business licenses. And if they don't, then they will notify them that they need to get a business license.
And if you're a beauty parlor or a nail salon or a restaurant, that's pretty easy to see that they need a business license. But when you're an attorney working from home, acting as a private judge, how would they know to see if they have a business license?
I don't know what system they use for that.
They don't. We're going to find out. We're going to see what's in the contract. And I want to see their specs and what they told you they could do, because I'm telling you, they probably would not have picked this up because they don't even know what private judging is and that it is a business. But just to let you know, an average private judge like Jeff Blum can make about $100,000 a year from families that are involved in private judging in a family law case. That is the cost of that issue. And so I'm looking at it for JAMS. I've been looking at cost and use of private judges for a long time. And it's concerning that not only was Jeff Blum not compliant with the basic business license when he's making that kind of money, and that we also appointed him to political bodies and as a code enforcement hearing officer. Doesn't speak a lot about his credibility as a code enforcement officer. And I know Lindley Hogan is not a very popular resident, but she's still entitled to a fair proceeding and a fair judge in that proceeding. So I understand that. I'm not associated with her. I am a reporter doing my job. Jeff Blum told me he didn't want me to talk to him again because I was associated with Lindley Hogan. I'm a reporter doing my job. So it's after I got those emails, I will be forwarding those emails, and they're going to be part of a public record because it's out of control what this town is doing. You can't just appoint people because they have the name of an attorney and they're buddies with somebody. That's just not okay. It wasn't fair to Miss Hogan. We're paying for the lawsuits against Miss Hogan that she brought for town officials. That doesn't mean that the town goes and gives a little quid pro quo to everybody that helps them get out of those lawsuits. It's just not okay. She wouldn't have won those lawsuits anyway. I saw the lawsuits. She was pro per. She wouldn't have won them anyway. Mr. Blum didn't need to butt his nose in and get involved in that as a code enforcement hearing officer. So that's me doing my job. And I wasn't looking for this. It's fallen in my lap. I just don't want the records to take so long. So I want you to understand why it's a priority and why I've been asking for these things. If you guys had this when I said I had trouble getting it, why couldn't someone just shoot it off to me? I've been waiting weeks for this information.
Okay, I apologize for that.
So it's really simple. You guys know what I'm doing, and some of the things you're sending me are relevant, and some of them are just caught up in the records, and I understand. If you want me to narrow the requests and look at all my requests and say, okay, this is driving us nuts, how do we narrow it? I'll do that because I'm willing to bet there's more important records that you guys just aren't giving me.
Okay.
Okay.
We're happy to work with you and go over that. Like I said, there's thousands of emails that we have to do just based on the search parameters. And sometimes it comes up with obscure records because it happens to have part of the search term that we're looking for that isn't relevant to your request. So we have to sift through all of those emails to determine which ones are responsive so that you're not getting a bunch of stuff that doesn't relate to your request.
I understand that, and I understand it's not easy, but remember, you guys created this. These records, when we started communicating in email, became public records. Mm-hmm. And so when the town has that many records and that much information, I shouldn't be having to get the records related to this town from another town. And that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, I don't know how their production works and what.
Well, we have to fix ours so
Yeah.
that I get the records that I'm entitled to.
Yeah. And
Okay.
We're a small team and we're trying to do our best to go through all the records.
Hey,
and we have
I understand that, but the town has to look at how it's funding this. If it takes you guys all day to do all the records requests, that's part of the job of the government. And so staff somebody that just does that and doesn't have to do 50 other things. And we're coming into budget cuts, and public records responses are not going to get cut in all of that. We'll start cutting police and other things before we're going to cut that. So no point in having police officers that aren't doing any hardcore investigations and that are running around talking about public records requests being disruptive. Why are we paying those people $220,000 a year? I bet you guys don't make that much money. And it's more important that we get the public records because I seem to be able to do the investigations better than the police do. So we need to start looking at that. So I'm not picking on you guys, but you need to push back. And when the town makes policies that are a prior restraint on speech, we're going to push back.
Okay, and I'm happy to work with you if there's any.
Good. You want to set an appointment? We'll go over all my records requests and I'll help you narrow it and you can show me why it's a problem. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Come in and I'll sit next to the computer. I won't even record our conversation. And you can go over everything and tell me this is a problem, this is a problem. How do I narrow this? How do I help you find what you need? The spirit of the Public Records Act is that you have to clarify and you have to assist me in finding the records responsive. And so that's what I'm asking you to do. So however you want me to do that, we'll do that. But you're going to narrow it and we're going to come up with a good idea.
Okay.
Okay? I don't want to make your job harder, but you guys can't make my job harder either.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
You ready? Yeah, you guys got that?
I want to make sure before you leave.
Because it took nearly 2 hours to get access to public records and make my final records requests related to Jeff Blum, private judging, jams, and the law firm Hoag Fenton, I missed an opportunity to be able to ask the police to provide a civil standby before I went out to the address noticed as Mr. Blum's private judging courthouse. At the entrance of Mr. Blum's private judging courthouse is a Ring doorbell camera, meaning he's recording those who are coming and going from his private judging courthouse. And that would technically be a public record. And if it isn't, it might just be a record that would be available through a subpoena. It also means that Mr. Blum understands the right to record in public and no expectation of privacy.
Mr. Blum,
Yes,
I'm Susan Bassey.
yes.
I've just pulled your 700 forms from the town of Los Gatos.
Uh-huh.
And I've also pulled your business licenses, and I was informed by the town you haven't had a business license to run your private judging business from this location. So I'm wondering where you post your public notices about hearings you held as a private judge. And I'm also wondering why you didn't pay your licensing fees when you were a commissioner in this town.
Okay, I'm getting off the commission. Thank you for the information.
You want to see your 700 forms?
You are not authorized to photograph me and record me, okay? And I know that that's illegal.
It's
so
not.
I don't know what your deal is.
I'm a
so-
reporter and you're a public official and you're a private judge and you're not complying with the law, Mr. Blum.
Put that down. You're harassing me.
No.
I'm going to ask for a restraining order.